My name is Yesi Morro, and this is my Perfiles. I am Dominican American, born and raised in Washington Heights. During the day, I'm an investment banker at one of the largest financial services firms in the world. At night, I am the proud founder of Proud to be Latina, and we are a networking organization really focusing on helping Latinas rise up to their full potential. And Proud to be Latina really came out of my experiences in corporate America, the challenges. There weren't role models there weren't people that could help us navigate. And I found that so many other Latinas had the same issue, and so I wanted to create a platform where we could all come together and hash those issues out together. If you're not disciplined, you're not going to get anything done. And sometimes you have to get a multitude of things done, so you have to be focused on it. Tenacity, because I keep going. I've failed so many times, sometimes really badly, but I keep going because I know what I'm looking for. Hunger, I think, is the really dominant piece for me. We grew up poor, we grew up suffering, and I knew from a young age what I didn't want. And as soon as you become successful, you want more of it. When you figure out what you're capable of, you even go harder at it. I like to think of myself as being in a really interesting generation. I completely embrace the Dominican culture, our food, our people, our neighborhoods, but I also embrace the American culture. So I have a great opportunity to have my feet planted in both spaces. I can completely be American and be who I want to be, and I understand the economy, how Wall Street works, how businesses work. I also have an amazing opportunity to show mainstream America what we're capable of and bring some of my Dominicanness to mainstream in the corporate arena. And I also have a great opportunity to bring what I learned in corporate America back to my neighborhood and show them so many of the great possibilities for us. Life's lesson for me has been, there are no free handouts, there are no fairy godmothers, there are no superheroes that are going to come save you. So whatever it is that you're after, you really have to work your ass off for it. There's a great deal of opportunity in corporate America, and Latinos are not in those upper echelons, like the C-suite and the directors and the managing directors. I myself, in my current organization, am the only Latina in a division of almost 500 people that holds a director position. So there's just a lot of work to be done, and part of it is really educating corporate America on how to do it. In the retention piece, in the hiring piece, in the development piece, I think they perhaps need some guidance, maybe even from us, on how to do it better. I'm inspired by life and the possibilities. I took my life from one of poverty to one of progression, and I have so much hope that there's so much more to be accomplished. I'm also inspired by the women I get to engage with through Proud to be Latina. Just being able to see women who have finally found their voice and are making moves in their careers and their businesses is very inspiring. My best Dominican tradition is the value of hard work. It can't replace anything. I think I'm not afraid of getting my hands dirty. I'm not a title-driven person, so whatever has to be done, needs to get done, will get done, because I value hard work. I think it's helped me get through plenty of challenges, and it's also what I show my children, so that gets passed on to the next generation. The first thing I say is fight like hell for your dreams. No matter what the challenges is, no matter who's telling you that you can't, just fight. The second thing is have goals, understand what you want, and understand what you have to work towards. Ignore the naysayers, they're going to be there to bring you down. And then give back to your community. Once you've made it, once you've accomplished some things, bring others in with you.
Mi nombre es Carlos Mer, y este es mi Perfiles. I'm a New Yorican, 100%. I am a sculptor, I'm an artist painter. I am also a designer as well. I've designed the BET Award and several other awards, advertising campaigns. I've established myself in the new media market. I won a Webby Award. I've touched every discipline I desired, from culinary arts to filmmaking, working with Robert De Niro for 2 years on the making of The Good Shepherd, documenting him, and part of his editing team. So professionally, I'm very diverse, but my main focus has always been in the arts. But I also am an arts advocate and a lecturer, and I've been a U.S. State Department cultural ambassador, meaning I travel to other countries and I talk on behalf of American culture and arts, specifically the urban arts. I give lectures at institutions and public schools and universities. I teach as well. So I cover a lot of ground. Mayor was a given name to myself from the graffiti writing culture back in the 70s. I grew up in New York City, you know, during the 70s, early 70s, post-civil rights. It was on the streets. It was the whole graffiti scene, the subway scene. And so I came out of that generation, really kind of the second generation of subway graffiti. And that captured my imagination because of all the colors, all this foreign language, the name being, you know, the central focus. So all of a sudden you have an identity. So whether you were super strut or super cool or stay high 149 or knock 167, you had to be somebody. So I made my alias as Nightmare. But the point is, and this is what is interesting, it comes back to what I've learned about the culture and my journey and the action in it. It's, you know, it's guerrilla advertising, and it's also typography, and it's also high abstraction. So it's all these things, all these very sophisticated things in a very naive culture at the time. And so that was kind of the segue into the rest of the world of arts. I mean, the whole identity, New Yorican identity is very different from a Puerto Rican identity, I always say. Is that I'm first generation here, so I grew up with the romantic idea of the motherland, when in fact, this is the island, this is my island, Manhattan. And the New Yorican experience is different because it's multicultural. It's more aligned to the African and African Caribbean experience than it is, to some degree, to mainland, because you're mixed in here. It's soulful. I always say we're a bit more cosmopolitan and more worldly, I think, in some regards. So for understanding that difference in terms of where my parents came from was really important, because all of a sudden I'm gravitating to a whole different rhythm, a whole different beat, a whole different lifestyle, having a really voracious appetite for knowledge and creativity wherever it lays in the human experience and how it comes back to me. Because I think one of the things we've learned through hip hop was that very early on was that so much of world culture was influenced by what we were investigating kind of naively. And then all of a sudden, once we got a little bit more curious and investigated, we just, all of a sudden, the language opened up. We were able to have a dialogue with the past, whether it was with African culture, capoeira. And I also think generosity, I think is, having the capacity to be generous with, for me anyway, with my life experience and my skills. And I've been able to help others a lot. And even my close friends, even accomplished people, simply because of my journey or my inquisitive mind about things. So I think being able to impart what you know and what you have has, I think, made a huge difference in my world, because it comes back tenfold for me. I think America has embraced Latino culture, but I also think that it has resisted and accepting the changing of our national demographic, and that has a lot to do with the fact that we're still relatively close to parts of history, specifically the civil rights, to really, accept this change. And I think part of it is the fact that not so much in the northern states, but in the southern states, when you're dealing with racism, and the identity of what this country is, it's a very complicated conversation. And so the problem lays in access and opportunities that stem from all the very simple issues we all face: education, healthcare, shelter, and so on. So we clearly have the economic clout and impact, tremendous, quite profound. But are we the beneficiaries of that? And what we have to learn, and corporations have to learn, is that it's a two-way street. Your success depends on my success. And so I would tell young people to be a lot more disciplined about their craft, about education, about how they move forward in terms of their economic future, to support their creativity, to support your passion. Passion needs support. It also needs allies. You need to network in with other people to make it happen. You need to share your dream, and you need to buy into other people's dreams as well.
So my name is Erica Becker. Originally, I grew up in Washington, D.C. My mother is from Uruguay, which is in South America, and my father is American. And I moved to New York when I was 16 years old to come to college, and I never left. I've been here ever since then. So I guess I'd call myself an entrepreneur, but the project that I'm most passionate about is my jewelry line, which is called Angels and Divas. And it's because every angel has an inner diva. So I have Edible Arrangements, which is a franchise, and then recently we opened up a restaurant called Maja's Tapas Bar and Grill. Well, it sort of happened by accident. I do have 3 children, so after having my last son, I've always been passionate about fashion since a little girl. And I once had a job where I was a fabric buyer, and that was like the best job I ever had. I mean, I loved going there, I loved being in it. So once my youngest son turned a year old, I decided to go back to school, and I got a degree in fashion design. One of the girls who I had studied with had decided to make a fashion show. So she asked me to be part of it. So I designed a collection for the fashion show, and along with that collection, I did jewelry for the show. And I started wearing my jewelry, and everywhere I went, people were like, "Oh my God, I love that, like, where could I get it?" And I was like, wait, I make them. They're like, "Oh, do you have a card?" So that's really how it started, just, because I was wearing my jewelry. And then I was like, oh, you know what, like, let me make a business out of this, because it was much easier than making clothing. So I have like my little workshop, and I make all my pieces handmade, and I make them in my house. And I've been really, really lucky, because I've been on reality shows have pulled, magazines have pulled my jewelry, other fashion shows. So, it's just grown from there. I'm inspired by different things. It's not just like one thing. I'm always looking for inspiration, my travels. So it's sort of like a mixture of everything that's around me. I do have a disability that has been something that I've had to grow up with all my life. And that's very hard, because people look at you differently, even though I'm sitting here and I look that I don't, but people discriminate against me all the time, still today, and I feel that I'm successful, but people look at me and think, oh, she can't do that, or that can't be done. So I think just like my disability has really taught me a lot, and I think that's like the hardest thing that I've sort of had to overcome. There's still so much racism. There's just so much bigotry that's going on. Like with all these laws that are being passed, and then all these families that are being broken up, people that have been here 20 years, their kids, are not American citizens, but they were brought over as babies, and then to be deported, to another, back to supposedly the country that they're from, but they've called America their home, since they were little. These are things that we really need to talk about and get things done. Even like the whole DREAM Act, I think that's so important. Latinos can offer so much to this country. I mean, we're the workforce, we're the babysitters, we're humans. I don't really think it should be like where you came from. Like, if you are working and being a model citizen, why should you not be allowed to be here? Lately, I've been very inspired by Frida Kahlo. She was such a strong woman. She suffered so much. So, I don't know if I really have like one question for her. Being a woman, when she grew up, that must have been very difficult. She also had, she suffered so much. So just, asking her, like, how did she do it? Like, what was that strength that she had to make her go on day to day, like on the day to day?
I'm Mariela Dava, and this is My Perfiles. I'm an author, a speaker, a media contributor, and a corporate consultant on issues that help Latinos succeed through education, career development, and empowerment. And I'm originally from Argentina. Argentinians are Argentinians before they were South Americans, as Mexicans are Mexicans before they're Hispanic. I mean, when you come to this country, I was an Argentinian who moved to the US. So I think that a lot of the traits that we have from growing up in a region with a lot of unexpected things happening. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. You always have to be thinking out of the box. You need to be extremely creative, extremely flexible. All of those traits, which I share with most Latinos, were very useful when you come to this country because you tried option A, but if it didn't work out, you try option B. And you can always come up with a new idea or ways in which you can make do with less, which is something that this culture has only started to learn when the crisis in 2008. So I think that that's kind of imbued in me, and I use it as I see fit along my business life and my personal life. So I think that in this sense, what corporate America is missing out is that they're pushing too much for adaptation instead of taking advantage and leveraging what the different employees bring in terms of their culture, their point of view, their way of doing things. So instead of trying to put everybody on a box, why not open that box and take what each one of these individuals is bringing to you, which is going to make your business much richer, and it's going to affect your bottom line in a positive way. So I think that we're missing out right there and in focusing too much in trying for everybody to be the same and to be homogeneous instead of, no, let's just exchange. What are you doing different? How do you see this problem different? Because people who are from diverse backgrounds, they don't even realize what different ways they see things. They don't realize they have a different vision of the world, a different worldview. They just act in a certain way because they were raised this way. They have certain values that they bring with them. They're transparent to you, but they're not transparent to somebody else. So if I can sit with somebody who's completely different from me and we can exchange completely different points of view and points of resolving things, I will see what you don't see in you and you will see what I don't see in me. And I think that's very enriching for an organization. Latinos are a country within a country. So in the United States, there's almost like an entire country within this country. And it's a powerful amount of people that is influencing this culture as well as it's being influenced by this culture. It's not a one-way street, it's a two-way street. So the future of this country lays in the power of this young immigrant population to generate commerce and to generate new companies and to generate jobs and to generate innovative ideas. And so it's now one of every 4 kids in kindergarten are already Latino. So it is our future and almost it is our present and our future. So we do need to make them feel that their contributions are valuable and that they are going to be integrated in a way that's much more organic than many times we've done in the past, where you think, well, you know, this is for the Latino market, this is for the general market. There is no more divisional markets. Nowadays, it's all a multicultural market. And actually, the general market has assumed a lot more traits from the Latino market than the other way around. So I think that it's important for Latino voices to be heard because they make the fabric of what is America. It's very intrinsically tied with what is America. And that's where your new generations are coming from. So you need to start paying attention to that new generation. I have mixed feelings about Hispanic Heritage Month. On the one hand, I think it's good that at least once, 1 month a year, Hispanic culture is celebrated. However, I think that by just having that time a year, we have almost like a carte blanche to forget during the rest of the year what it means to be Latino, what the Hispanic culture is all about.
It's sort of sad that we have to do it in 1 month. I sort of feel that we should be doing it every day and we should celebrate every day. But I do find that it's important. I feel, it's important for us as Hispanics, and then I also feel that it's important for other races, to sort of learn about different cultures and, different pioneers in the Hispanic culture.
That's a hard question for me. It's kind of loaded there because I don't know what the significance is. I'm Latina every single day.
Well, celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month means that we celebrate diversity and also accomplishments and also aspirations. I think that's part of it. I think it's about recognizing ourselves. I think that makes a huge difference to a lot of people, that we, in those moments when we're celebrating heritage, we're looking back so that we can move forward.
I am differenter because I've broken cycles. I grew up extremely poor, broke that cycle. I was told I would never succeed in school, broke that cycle as well. I was told that I could not achieve anything in corporate America, shattered that belief. And the best part of it is now I'm serving as a mentor to so many other women and showing them the possibilities. And that's what makes me a differenter.
I'm Marila Dava, and what makes me differenter is my ability to connect with people regardless of who they are.
I'm Carlos Mayer. I'm a differenter because I'm not on the outside looking in. I'm the outsider they're looking into.
What makes me differenter is I'm an artist, I'm creative, and I'm inspired by what's around me. That's what makes me differenter.
All right.
Good? That's a wrap.